Market failure is any situation where the allocation of resources by a free market is not efficient. It is most often associated with market power, asymmetric information, and, in this case, externalities. As for externality, it occurs when the production or consumption of a good or service has a positive or negative effect upon a third party. In this diagram, the marginal social cost, or the MSC, is equal to the marginal private cost, or the MPC, plus or minus any external cost or benefit of production. The marginal social benefit, or the MSB, is equal to the marginal private benefit, or the MPB, plus or minus any external cost or benefit of consumption. Cigarette smoke is an example of market failure and has a negative effect upon a third party. People who smoke enjoy some private benefits of smoking, but this will create external costs for other people. This is commonly referred to as second-hand smoking. Other than simple discomfort at the smell of cigarettes, the costs to others are significant and include lung cancer and asthma, to name a few. Because it is a free market, consumers will maximize their private utility and consume at the level where the marginal social cost is equal to the marginal private benefit. They will ignore the negative externality that they are creating. This means that they will overconsume cigarettes by smoking Q1 cigarettes at the price of P1. The socially efficient output is at Q asterisk, and so there is overconsumption of Q1 to Q asterisk. Since the marginal social cost is greater than the marginal social benefit for these units, there is a welfare loss to society and a market failure. In a perfect market where no externalities exist, the marginal social cost is equal to the marginal social benefit. And we have both social efficiency as well as maximum community surplus shown by this diagram. However, in the case of airplane flights, they adversely affect third parties when consumed by individuals, which include air and noise pollution. People who are not using this transportation are still affected negatively by the noise and pollution the airplanes produce. Because it is a free market, consumers will maximize their private utility and consume at the level where the marginal social cost is equal to the marginal private benefit. They will ignore the negative externality that they are creating. This means that they will overconsume this form of transportation at a quantity of Q1 and at the price of P1. The socially efficient output is at Q asterisk, and so there is a overconsumption of Q1 to Q asterisk. Since the marginal social cost is greater than the marginal social benefit for these units, there is a welfare loss to society and a market failure. In a free market, this situation would continue because consumers will only take into account their private cost of consumption. Therefore, it is up to the government to rectify the situation in order to help society get the most from its resources. The government can reduce the negative externality by imposing indirect tax on airplane tickets in order to reduce consumption. The tax will shift the marginal social curve upwards to the marginal social cost plus tax. This will reduce consumption to the socially efficient level of output at Q asterisk, but the price to the consumers will be at P2. The government will gain significant revenue, and this may be used to correct some of the negative externalities caused by the airline industry. However, the inelastic demand for air travel tends to mean that the tax does not manage to reduce the quantity demanded very much, and so while government revenue is increased, the quantity demanded of airplane flights does not fall to the socially efficient level. An alternative method to reduce and eliminate the negative externality is for the government to provide education about the pollution the aircrafts produce and also fund advertisements in order to reduce the demand for airplane tickets, so shifting the marginal private benefit curve to the left. The cost of this market-based solution is high, and there is doubt as to the effectiveness of education and advertisement in terms of reducing the quantity demanded of airplane flights. Many businessmen, for example, depend on airplane flights in order to travel from one country to another in a short amount of time. In analysis, the government policy of imposing an indirect tax is considered as the more effective method in the short term, while the market-based solution of education is more effective in the long term. Since a price increase due to the tax will reduce the consumption to the socially efficient level of output at Q asterisk, it will reduce the negative externalities. In the long term, the government can use the tax revenue gained from the indirect tax to fund advertisements and education in order to reduce the negative externality of consumption and encourage people to use other forms of transportation.